This quick video will briefly describe the lymphatic system and what most educational systems forget to include when discussing the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is basically a series of lymphatic vessels, shown here in green, that course through little lymph nodes, shown here as little green dots. Essentially, this organ system in the body is described as a system that transports excess fluid away from our bodily tissues. And if this excess fluid is backed up, usually swelling occurs. Lymphatic organs are also going to include the spleen, which is the largest lymphatic organ, the thymus, which is located right above the heart, the tonsils, which there are 3 different types of tonsils, and even tissue within the intestinal tract called MALT, or mucosa-associated lymphoid tissue. Here we're looking at the lymphatic structures in the upper part of the body, and here's what they look like in the lower part of the body. The lymphatic fluid, or lymph, is a clear, colorless fluid that essentially is going to transport excess substances away from our organs and tissues. It also includes lymphocytes, which take up residence within the lymph nodes and other organs in the body and other structures and tissues. Lymphocytes are also found in the blood. Here is a look at a typical tissue in the body, and this tissue can be part of any organ. So organs are made up of lots of cells surrounded by 2 major fluids, blood and lymph. In the red and blue, this is where the blood is circulating. So we have arteries, which are typically colored red because most arteries, with a few exceptions, carry oxygen-rich blood. And here that blood is showing passing through a capillary bed, which are the smallest of the blood vessels, on its way to a venule. Now, when we get into the venous system, typically the blood is color-coded blue because that denotes that it is missing oxygen. So as the blood goes from an arteriole to a venule within this capillary bed, it releases its oxygen and it picks up carbon dioxide. That's the major exchange that takes place in the capillaries. Also, our blood, which Dr. Morse describes as the kitchen, delivers our fuel, glucose, amino acids, things like that, to these cells within this organ. So the nutrition is delivered. Now, most of the waste products, however, are not picked up back by the blood. Most of the waste products are picked up by these green vessels, which are the lymphatic capillaries. These are the smallest of the lymphatic vessels. Really, the only waste product that the blood picks up is carbon dioxide. Most other waste products, again, are picked up by these lymphatic capillaries. Now, I want to show you this image next. This is from a textbook, and it's showing a very simplistic way in which the lymph flows in the body. We start with those little lymphatic capillaries, and this can be coming from any organ in the body. And it's just showing that these lymphatic capillaries merge into lymphatic vessels, which course through lymph nodes. The lymph nodes contain T and B lymphocytes and macrophages, which are going to be monitoring that fluid as they pass through the lymph nodes. Now notice what's happening here. It's showing this lymphatic tissue going back to the venous blood, that blue deoxygenated blood, right into what's called the subclavian veins before it reaches the heart. Let's come back and look at this picture. This is another example showing these lymphatic vessels passing up into those blue vessels, again, the subclavian vein, right before they enter into the heart. Now the heart has been removed here. So this is different from what Dr. Morse functionally sees in the body. The way he describes it is that our lymphatic system is a sewer system, and it's taking trash away from the cells in all of our body. And where do we take that trash? Well, we want to take it out of the body. Do we want to dump it all into the kitchen? I don't think that would be a good idea, but that's exactly what they're showing in these two pictures. They're showing the trash in green here being dumped into the venous blood. There's something missing here, and that something missing is the kidney. Now this is also from a textbook, and the kidney, as described in textbooks, is described as functioning as filtering our blood. It's showing arterial blood coming in and dividing and dividing and dividing into small, very small vessels, eventually to the smallest of the vessels called the glomeruli. That's where the blood is filtered, and then any blood left over goes back into the venous blood in blue, ultimately, and out through the renal vein. Now the glomeruli, which are small little capillaries that filter the blood, will send whatever pulled out of the blood into, right here, our renal pelvis into the ureter. And this is where the urine collects on its way out to the urinary bladder and out of the body. What's missing in this picture is the lymphatic vessels. So we have an issue here because the lymphatic vessels carry waste products, and we want these waste products to exit our body. And the main way our body releases internal waste products is through the kidneys, but it's only showing the kitchen or the blood being filtered by the kidneys. What about the lymphatic fluid? Well, if we go back to the previous explanation, they're just showing that this is dumped right back into the blood. But as Dr. Morse describes it, this is a silly and very dangerous way of describing how lymphatic fluid exits the body. Let's look at this picture taken from a journal. And this medical journal here actually shows lymphatic vessels within kidney tissue. So this is a histological picture, a series of histology pictures coming from the kidney. Here's the glomerulus, which is the little blood capillary where the blood is filtered. Surrounding that is a very thin membrane called the Bowman's capsule, sometimes called the glomerular capsule. And all it's showing here is the blood being filtered. But notice these little triangles. All of these little triangles are lymphatic vessels. These lymphatic vessels are in close proximity to where the blood is being filtered, and they could easily release, you can see here, substances in this lymphatic fluid into this Bowman's capsule on its way out into the urine. So this is just my brief little description of how we can have an alternate way of lymph being drained out of the body directly into the kidneys, which would be more logical as opposed to being drained into the blood. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.